Welcome to Desi Return Diaries, Embracing Home Again, the podcast that shares personal journeys and expert insights on returning to India. I'm your host, Avinash Pedi, here to guide and inspire you on your Desi return journey. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Desi Return. Today I'm really excited to have Prashant on our show. Prashant lived for 5 years in UK before spending another 6 years in US before returning back to India. I think really looking forward to get some insights, especially from different countries, the work style, the social life, and how things are after moving back. With that, welcome Prashant to the show.
Thank you very much, Avinash. Thanks a lot.
Great. So Prashant, if you can tell a little bit about your background and what made you to move from UK to US and from US to India, I think that would be very helpful.
Of course, Avinash. To talk about my background, so my full name is Prashant Srivastav. I'm mainly from Uttar Pradesh, India. And I, I'm a family of four. I have two kids, one son and daughter, and a lovely wife. I had an opportunity to go to the US back in 2012, uh, my company. And I stayed there in the US for like 6 years. And then I was deputed for another assignment in the UK. And there I stayed for almost 5 years or something. So almost 11.5 years that I've been out of India. I had been out of India. And it was a very great and rich experience that, I would really like to share today. And definitely, I hope that my story of moving to India would help people because there are people who are always in confusion in Panama. Whether we are making the right decision or not, whether it will be good for our family, whether it will be good for our children to move back to India. There's so many pros and cons to weigh before we move. So I hope my story would help them at least a bit to the people who are viewing this session. So let's go. Let's go ahead.
That's great. So yeah, thanks for correcting that. So I think you moved to US first and spent 6 years, and then on the same work assignment moved to UK. So what triggered for the move back from UK to India in your case?
To be honest, there was no trigger. It was always a thoughtful decision of moving back to India. And the best part was that both I and my wife both had the same, thought process. So there was never a clash that, okay, one wants to, stay back and one wants to move back, So that was the biggest positive thing for us. Secondly, as I said, it was a well-thought process, a well-thought full decision, and we planned it meticulously before moving to India. The reasons were not just one or two. I would say the factors that contributed for us to make this decision was firstly our children, the upbringing of our children. Secondly, our parents back in India, of course. And then, the sense of belongingness, the acceptance in the foreign land, that was another thing. And, the independence to work, wherever you want, whatever you want. That was one more thing. And the last thing was, of course, the immigration complications that you have when you're living in a foreign country. There are so many restrictions on your visa, like you can do only this work, not that work. You can live only for these many years in the country. You're not allowed to work as a sports person. You're not allowed to, work as a, practice medicine or so many things, right? You are bound by several ways, and which is obviously acceptable. Every country follows that. But if when you are, thinking of living in a country and giving a life in the country, so you have to really think a lot about that.
Great.
So, these were the factors.
So before we dive into this back to India, maybe I'm curious, So where did you live in US? What about in UK? If you can compare and contrast the lifestyles in US and UK, I think that would be interesting to the audience too.
Oh, that's a great question. Thanks that you brought it up. Culture-wise, US and the UK are very similar, very, very similar. Um, but we did have a bit of, a shock when we came down to the UK because what we imagined about UK was, oh, it will be as big. Though we knew that geographically it is not as big as US. But when we came down, things were quite different in infrastructure-wise. So let's first talk about the infrastructure. The US is vast. You have 50 states in US, and every state is huge, very big. You can drive and travel for hours and hours. That would not end. But in the UK, it is contrast. It is very small. And one thing I personally experienced was about the driving thing. It was a kind of a shocker because of course we know that in US you have a right hand driving, but or left hand driving, but in the UK and India you have right hand driving. Contrast, opposite. So that was one thing because you have to get used to. I had driven in the US for so many years, so I was very used to that kind of driving. When I came down to the UK, it was entirely opposite. And for the first year, I did not even have a license, so I had to use public transport or Uber and everything to travel. And I think passing the driving test was kind of a task in the UK. It was quite tough because here you have a lot and a lot of roundabouts. I'm talking about infrastructure here, that you have a lot and lot of roundabouts. And in the US, you have like straight roads, mainly. Turn left, turn right, go straight. That's it. In the UK, turn left, on the roundabout, take the second exit. On the roundabout, take the fourth exit. You miss one exit, you are gone. Right? So infrastructure-wise, yes, US is very huge, UK is very small, and that is why everything goes in circle and circle in UK. Talking about the culture, it is similar. The festivals and everything. You have the similar vibes in both the countries. For example, Christmas. In both the countries, Christmas is celebrated at a very huge level, and that Christmas vibes you will see everywhere in the US and UK. One thing that I had very much difficulty to adjust with was the UK accent. Because in US it was very, very simple, very much similar to what you speak back in India. You can understand very well, but in the UK, it is a bit thicker. And it took a bit of some time for me to get used to it, especially with the local people, right?
Yeah.
So otherwise, both the countries are amazing. I traveled in the US a lot of places like Florida, Hawaii, and many more. And same in the UK, England, Scotland, and both the countries have amazing beauty. That makes me appreciate.
Great. So just moving back to like this, returning back to India, right? So if we can talk a little bit about, I know you talked about like a lot of meticulous planning that happened for the move, and you always have this plan to be back, right? I think, it was always there. And it's great that you and your wife are on the same page, which is the most important aspect to it. So if you can talk a little bit about your planning, right, in terms of your career, but did you move back with the same company, if you're okay to share? And then also like maybe on a let's focus on the professional planning. Maybe if you can talk a little bit on that, that would be very helpful.
Sure. So we know that we have to move to India, and the very first thing is your employment. That becomes a very important factor when you're moving to India. So one thing we wanted was it to be smooth. So it can be smooth if we have a job when we move to India. If you land in India without a job, it's going to be very difficult for you to survive for several months because you cannot just immediately grab a job over there, right? That's not that easy because, and that too when the market is that slow, you're not getting even interview calls, right? Uh, so for me, it was very smooth. My company, my employer was very kind enough to give me the internal transfer. Ours were the multinational company. It is across the world. It is in the US, UK, Australia, India. So it was not that difficult for me to get the internal transfer. So I got it very easily, and I have been in the country for almost 9 years. So that trust, that stability is already there. So it was not that difficult for me. But for my wife, it was a bit difficult. There were some issues, some logistics that were not, it was a very long process for her. So she couldn't, get the internal transfer. And that is what was a setback to us. That we had planned everything. We had told our employees that we are moving. We had booked our tickets. And now one of us did not have a job. So there started the plan B. Okay, let's first find the job. So we had an Indian number with us. So we activated the roaming on that. And, she floated a resume in India with that India number. And she started getting calls, uh, on the Indian number from the recruiters. Recruiters wouldn't know that where you are right now, right? So they would call you. So you would get calls just like if you are in India. So she started getting the call. She started attending the interviews. And, with her connections, with her network, she was able to secure an offer before going to India. It was just hardly a few weeks before we got travel. She secured an offer, and that was such a relief to both of us. So that was one thing that I would advise people, that if you are making a move and you want to, and you are kind of very skeptical whether you will get a job or not, start hunting for a job before you move out of your country to India. So, using an Indian number definitely helps. So that is about the employment. And then come to schooling of the children, right? That becomes the next task. When you land in India, you have to get your children admitted to the schools, the best school that you would want. So we spoke to a lot and lot of people, our old friends, families. We, went to the social media, started, interacting with the people, common groups, WhatsApp groups, everywhere. Try to get as much information as possible. But one thing that really surprised us, that there was a group altogether on social media for the repatriates. That okay, you want to move to India, you have everything here, and you can talk about. You can not literally the logistic everything that you can do, but you can emotionally get in touch with the people and understand whether that's the right move or not. And the people's experience was very positive. They were really happy that that we have moved back to India, especially for the sugar. Coming back to the school, we narrowed down some of the schools. We listed and we started making calls to them. We filled the forms in the UK itself before we moved to India. So that made our jobs very easy. We had certain schools on the list, and we had certain relatives who recommended on the school. So we immediately, went to the schools and spoke to them about the admission, and children got the admission. Second thing was we were not very sure about the board for the children, right? Whether it should be CBSE board, IB board, ICC board, so many boards. It's kind of a such puzzle here, right? So we thought, let's give it a chance. Let's go to CBSE board first. We all studied the CBSE board. Let's give it a chance and let's see how it works. So we got him admitted to a CBSE or a non-CBSE school, and it went on well for a couple of months. So that's one thing I'll talk about it more later. That what more happened in the school, and
Sure.
then
Maybe if I may interrupt there, sorry.
sure.
So just to summarize, I think thanks for explaining on the career side. That your wife was able to secure a job while living outside India. I think the key thing is to have an Indian number to be able to have the calls, like
Right.
because people doesn't know, they think that you are living in India, and then also the connections and so on, so that she was able to secure. So that thing, just a key thing to highlight there is having a Indian number there while you're trying to apply for jobs while living outside the India. And the second thing is,
Right.
if you can, I know like how old are the kids when they moved, just so that I think that helps the audience, right? So that from an adjustment wise, which grade, I think that could also help. Like, so if you can share that, that would be very helpful too on that.
Yes. My children, the elder one was 8 when we moved last year, and my younger one was 5.
Got it.
And we believed that that was the right time for children because, if you move them when they enter their teens, it's like uprooting them. They start gelling with the culture. They start accepting the country as their own. And then if we move to even their home country to India, it's quite unfair to them, right? And expecting from them to adjust just like us, it's not really easy. So we thought that okay, this is the right time that we should move because they are still growing, they're still trying to understand the cultures, different cultures.
Got it.
Coming to the interview thing, one hurdle we had was convincing the employer that whether we are really going to move or not. That was such a task. So she had interviews and she was in the final HR round. Every time she was grilled, tell me why you are moving. No one comes back, right? Why are you moving? Tell me more about your children. Tell us, you prove that you are moving, right? So you have to face such questions. You have to convince. It is very difficult to convince the employers, and especially when there are so many contenders for the same job, then you are not really um, always chosen for that job. So one thing that I would suggest is that make your tickets ready so that you can show your prospective employers. See, I have the ticket. We are moving. You can tell if your visa is expiring, tell them my visa is expiring, I have no option but to move. All that sort of things that you have to convince. So yes, that was one of the biggest problems as well.
Great. So I know, I think you might have mentioned it, but just curious, I think, you have always planned to move back to India, but like, what is there any trigger in terms of this is the right time to do, right? Like, 11 years, 11 and a half years after living abroad, this is the right time, right? I mean, you could have waited for another 1 year, 2 years, or you could have done earlier. Just curious if there's anything that made the decision to move back. Yeah.
Yes, so it was always on the cards, that was for sure. It was just a matter of what time, when, right? So first thing was children, age. So as I spoke, that it was the right time for them to move so that they can adjust easily. Second thing was that when you live, outside India, you really help your bank balance, right? So you know that, okay, moving back to India with this bank balance would be sufficient enough to, start, a new career or buy a house, or if you want to start your own startup, your own business, you know that, okay, this is the right time we can do. Other factors were definitely there, which were kind of so these were the positive, these were the kind of pulls for India. Okay, that okay, let's go to India. There were some pushes as well that were kind of pushing us to India. And such factors, some of the factors, if I talk about was the sense of belongingness, the sense of acceptance. As I said, if you are going to live a foreign country forever, you have to love each and everything in that country. Every small to big, everything. You have to love their politics. You have to love their social economics. You have to love everything. The schooling, the pattern, and the traffic, everything, right? And for that, and not to mention, but the festivals, right? Their festivals, you have to accept their festivals. You have to live like one of them, right? So when it comes to that, it becomes a bit of a challenge because then you have spent more than half of your life in India, and now you have to do the same thing in a foreign country. It becomes really difficult. It's not just one way. It's just not that you are not able to accept it. Also, other way as well that you are not really accepted 100% as well.
Yeah.
You understand it. Yeah, sometimes you have those subtle things everywhere. So that was one of the factors.
Got it.
And what else was the trigger, or basically the reasons were uh, the pull factors for India, right? Uh, that you have your parents,
Yeah.
your family there. When you are outside the India, you can do nothing but to speak over phone, over the video calls, talk to them. Are you okay? Oh, you are sick, but you cannot do much about it, right? So when you go back to India, at least you get rid of that guilt, right? That guilt also plays a lot of role that you are not your parents, but your family. That is
Got it.
also.
So that's cool. So I don't know, like, so did you move back to Uttar Pradesh, like, or to other
Yeah,
location?
I'm in Uttar Pradesh. I'm in Greater Noida right now.
Great. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's maybe touch a little bit on the social life, right? I think, how has things been? I think, spending time with family, friends, parents, kids adjusting to the social life. So if you can talk, few things on that, that would be very helpful too.
Social life has really taken a great turn, and actually for the good. It has definitely improved, not only for us, but for the children, especially for the children, because in the UK, when we're in the UK, most of the time they're very cold, and and it is always raining over there. And also, it also depends that where you are living. We were in a neighborhood where it was a mixed population, and there were not many small children. So our children were mainly, their lives were mainly restricted to the school and the home, right? So they did not have more friends outside the school. That was the biggest problem that we were seeing with children, because most of their evenings were very dull. They always wanted to go out, play in the parks, enjoy, and always would be dependent on parents. Okay, let's go out and play. Let's go out to a park. Let's go to a play area. They always depend on, and that's, I think it's not really healthy for a normal growth of the child, because they are completely dependent on the children need children, right, to play and for normal growth. They are at such a stage that they want to share their own, opinions, their own secrets with their own peers, their own friends, right? And just confining that to school or house is very difficult. So that was main thing for children that they were really facing, and it really impacts and really has a long-term impact on the mental health aspect of the children, especially for the children who are, the expats. So one thing that helped them was coming back to India was that the evenings are really, uh, very enjoyable here. They are not dependent on us anymore.
Yeah.
They can just go out, play, come out, and come back home. They have many more friends now. They have the chance to go back to home to meet their cousins. They can share all their secrets with their cousins. They can make memories with their cousins, with their friends now. So their social life has really improved a lot. And we can see that how confident they have become today. You know, they are growing more confident than they were in the US or the UK. For us, definitely, it has again improved a lot. If we talk about our social circle in the US, I had a big social circle in the US. We had, a big group of friends. We would go out for long drives, for beaches, for potlucks and everything. Our life was very busy over there.
Yeah.
A lot of friends. In the UK, it was not the same. It was kind of opposite. Almost no social circle. We did have acquaintances, but they were not real friends. They were no really friends. We did a lot of acquaintances of different age groups. So, but here when we moved back to India, not only we had chance to meet our families, we, every now and then we can travel to our families, and, we can reach there in a couple of hours. And we do not have to plan for several months that we have to take off for like 4 weeks to go to India. and book tickets and spend at least $5,000, $10,000 or or pounds and for a single visit to India, right? That definitely is very economic as we see it. And depending on that, and also about the friends, we have all our friends, our school friends, our college friends here. We do meet occasionally. We enjoy. We have a social circle, and more than that, you know, we are living in a society which is very lively, very lively. Even if you do not have friends, you go downstairs, you can talk, you can enjoy, and you can have fun. Right? You have lots of sports activities here for yourself, for children. You can enjoy. In the US and the UK, for each and everything. No, I'm not bashing US or UK, but what I'm saying that this is the difference that in the US and the UK, for everything you have to go out to a certain specific place. You want to play tennis, go to a sports club over there. You can go and play tennis. You can, if you want to play cricket, you go to a certain ground and meet with the other groups and gel with them. And lot of work over there. It's effortless over here in India. That's what I'm trying to say. It's very effortless.
Got it. So sounds like I think kids are having a blast in the evenings with a lot of friends and cousins to share there. Are there things that you miss living in India, like, compared to what you would have like in the Western countries? Anything that you and your family missing?
Yeah, my children keep telling that they love their school back in the UK. Their school was a Catholic school, and they would go to the church every month or so. Every month, they would sing songs, enjoy over there. They're missing their school a lot. They loved it, but they have a good school here as well. So what I really miss is the traffic sense. The Western countries really a lot. There's no doubt about it. Other than that, the festive season in the Western countries, especially the holiday period right now, right? The Christmas, the Thanksgiving, everything that our children we were, enjoying that time was the Christmas vibes. You have Christmassy things everywhere, right? So that festive season is missing here. Not that we do not have Christmas or that festive vibes here. It's like you have more, better Diwali vibes here in India than the Christmas vibes. You have better Christmas vibes in the US and UK than the Diwali vibes, right? So it's always a trade-off. That is definitely there. Apart from that, um, what else that I miss about US and UK? I think I think there's nothing much.
Okay.
This is very easy going here in India.
Yeah. So are there any topics or anything that we haven't covered that you would like to bring up? Along the same lines, any advice that you want to give for any future aspirants who are thinking about moving back to India? So, two points there. So if you can share anything, that would be very helpful.
Yes. One thing that we did not cover, I wanted to talk about was the schooling, right? Especially when children move from the Western countries. The pattern of schooling is entirely different. And especially when you are in a primary, right? So here, when we got our children enrolled into the CBSE school, they really found it really hard to keep the pace with, with the kind of studies that they had in the CBSE. So the first 2 months were easy. It was very slow, but when they started, catching up this pace, it became really hard for them because every day you have lots and lots of homework, right? And it's more of a text-based education here. In the Western countries, it is not always text-based. It is, it is differently designed for different levels.
Mm.
So they were not very used to it. So they were finding it really difficult. So what affected them was they were, not able to spend time playing outside or even, you know, pursuing their hobbies. Like my elder daughter loves, playing piano, and she was hardly having yeah. So it was really affecting them. So we had to take that very hard decision, and we pulled them out of the CBSE school right after 3 months. And we had a setback of a lot of money that time, and we got them into an IB board, a national board. And here they follow the similar pattern, which are not textbook based, and it is more of an inquiry based. Okay? So um, they are able to not judge here very well. They can relate that how they have studied earlier is similar here. They are now blooming, really, they are enjoying that. And it's not really needed right now for them to put anything for pressure. So that is one thing that I would recommend the viewers that think wisely when you are putting your children in school, and which one would be the best for them, whether they have keep up the pace or not. Eventually they will get there, eventually they will get there, but probably right now they are okay. They can go easy.
So thank you for sharing that. Just so that so you put them in the CBSE first, and it was after a couple of months it was becoming very intense, with the book based and an inquiry based kind of a program. So you moved them to IB program like after 3 to 4 months, and they're enjoying, I think. So again, I think I think you kind of summarized it well in terms of look at your kid, depending on the options, evaluate and see which curriculum could be better for them. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else that you wanted to advise the future aspirants?
Yes, one thing I missed to cover again was that take the advantage of the Western countries. Means advantage that if you are there, if you want to upskill yourself, if you want to, study there, do that. My wife studied her MBA. She took a break of like 6 years for for raising the children, and then she came back to its job, and for that she did an MBA from Mobile Business School. So it was a good opportunity because you were earning there, you can spend that much of money, and you can still live there, and you can get all the support. But doing it from India becomes really difficult. So what I'm trying to say that if you are there, take the advantage to the fullest of that country, because it's actually a blessing to be there in the countries, in such countries, which are really great education-wise. So you should take that advantage, because that really, adds out of that you have. When you come back here to the India, to India, it really gives you results. It really helps.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think, utilize the opportunities that you have, right, irrespective of where you live. So appreciate it. So thank you very much, Prashant, for taking the time and sharing your thoughts, especially the key points that you touched in terms of the difference between the US and UK, like, the meticulous planning in terms of the career, kids, some of the logistics that are involved in the move, and sharing, very genuine, experience with the kids' education. I think that's very valuable, especially for a lot of people. Kids' education and how they well settled here is an important aspect. So once again, thank you very much for your time and sharing your journey with us, and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much, Avinash. Thank you very much for having me.
That's great. Thank you all for joining us on this insightful journey of Desi Return. If you enjoyed this episode and want to explore more stories and expert advice, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Don't forget to leave a comment below with your thoughts and experiences. By the way, check out the links in the description below for our Facebook group and social media for updates and engaging discussions, as well as connecting with fellow Desi Returners. Thank you once again, and until next time, may your Desi Return journey be filled with joy, growth, and endless possibilities.